The bottom of the cabinet drawer sections have a piece of walnut that is the same thickness as the vertical pieces of walnut that will surround the drawer fronts. And I pre-finished this with shellac, also stained it a little bit to match the coloration of the walnut in the rest of the room, also the same coloration I used in the mantle if you have viewed that video. And so now I'm going to go ahead and release the clamps, and before I glued this up, since it's pre-finished, I didn't want the glue to stick to the wood and have to remove the finish to get the glue off. So I first treated the panel with some waxy lit. This is from Lee Valley. It's just a little waxy substance, and you wipe it on the wood near the joint, and when the glue squeezes out, the idea is for the waxy lit to just lift off, and you can just, I'm just using my thumbnail to take off the pieces of wax. You can also use a little piece of plastic, like in one of these little credit cards that you receive in the mail. It just peels right off because the wax doesn't let the glue stick to the wood, and makes it a whole lot easier then to just you're done. Now I want to fit up the dust dividers to the sides. I've made some spacers that are the exact separation that I want between the dust dividers. Made sure that everything lined up properly, clamped in place to get everything nice and firm. And now I'm using just a transfer punch just to transfer the whole center into the side, and then I can later drill pilot holes in the sides, and then screw on the flanges here, and do that to both sides, and then I'll have my box. Now you can get a better idea of what one of these drawer boxes is going to look like. This is the left-hand side drawer box. It's on its side. This is the bottom. And then you've got the dust dividers, and then finally up here you have the place for the pull-out shelf so that you can do some writing. And the back is tapped in place. This is just a dry assembly here, just to make sure everything fits right. But there'll be walnut trim around the front, and I'll be making another one of these. I actually have all the parts for the right side that has a big file drawer in it. And once all the pieces are finished, I'll go ahead and glue it up. Now, it's important at this point to make sure I have all the holes drilled that I need. So I have holes drilled in the top runner here that will go through and hold the center drawer assembly. I have holes drilled to attach the back, and the whole idea is to be able to take this to the house in pieces and assemble it on site. So we have to have everything all drilled and ready to go. Now it's time to glue up the two boxes, the right and left drawer box for the desk. And right now I'm working on the right-hand drawer box that has the file drawer in it. And before I glue the dust dividers in and put the box together, I'm going to go ahead and attach the base for the ball bearing slides for the file cabinet. I've got full extension slides. They're very long, 30-inch. They go way on out, and they require some hefty support. So I've made a little maple bracket here, and I'm just gluing and screwing it into place. Okay, now I'll go ahead and I'll mark where the dust dividers are. I'll glue them on the same fashion, and we'll assemble the whole piece. there's a lot of glue surface area on these flanges, so I'm not real concerned about getting glue everywhere. There's so much glue surface that between the screws and just laying on some glue and a 2-inch thick or so strip will just be plenty. So the dust dividers are all attached, very solid, very heavy. Now I'm going to attach what's actually the front of the box. If you think about the desk, it fits into this opening, keeps everything nice and square, and onto this I will later on attach the curved front with the veneer on it. And that'll finish up the major panel installations. Now I'm going to spread some glue on the case for the bottom of this, but for the sides and the top of the panel, I'll spread it on the actual edges of the panel. That way, any glue is forced out the back. It's a whole lot easier to clean up. Of course, I don't want to put glue on the bottom of this panel edge because it'll get all over my table. Again, this glue is not real critical because there are going to be screws holding this in, but you always get a much more solid construction if you have glue and screws. There we are, all assembled, nice and solid. You can see the drawer runners. Actually, this is the file drawer down here, so this will have ball bearing glides. But these drawers are designed to be just sliding in and out without glides. We'll see how that works. If in fact they find the drawer is a little too large for that, I can come back and install glides on the sides here. So I've kind of thought about all eventualities. Last thing is just to check for diagonal and make sure we're okay. 37 3/4. Not that I could do anything about it at this point anyway, but it makes me sleep better at night. 37 3/4. So we're nice and square. Great. Got the other box glued up too. Now we're going to go ahead and move on. Now I'm going to move this box over. I've got a place on the floor where I can position both boxes and just slowly assemble this piece. It's even too hard for me just to pick up this box myself. So I've got my dandy lift here. It's a hydraulic lift, and although it's not quite tall enough, I can work this over to the edge. And now I can roll it around to where I need it. Save my back. Now I've milled up some blocks of wood, which are exactly the right height to make so that everything here will be nice and coplanar. And I'll go ahead and separate those blocks by the width of the centerpiece, the center connector, where the center drawer will be. And then all I have to do is Bring this on in approximately to where it needs to be. Make some fine adjustments later. And just slowly lower it down. There we are. This is the casing that is going to hold the center drawer that would be right above your lap when you're sitting at the desk. And this drawer is not going to have runners. It's going to, it's going to be fit correctly so it slides in and out easily, but it is a large drawer. So to help make it slide better, I want the sides to be a little bit wider at the back than the front, just a slight amount, so that if you fit the drawer into the front, it will not have a tendency to bind up in the back. So what I need to do first is go ahead and mark with a marking knife where the sides intersect the bottom of the drawer, the bottom of the case. And I've got them lined up nicely on the sides here. I did anyway. And I'll just make a little scribe line. And I'll use that then to make the back piece, which fits between these sides, just a little bit longer than the distance between those lines. So when I assemble this, the back will be just slightly wide. I've got the bottom, the two sides, and the back of the center drawer opening here made, and I wanted to show you what I meant about tapering the sides so they're a little wider at the back. This board represents the drawer front, which I've cut to fit exactly in the front of the opening. As I slide this back, the fit becomes looser and looser towards the back of the drawer, meaning that if you can get a drawer to fit perfectly in the front, it won't be hanging up in the back, and yet it's not so sloppy as to allow the drawer to bind. It'll just allow a smooth operation in and out. So now I'm going to attach the center drawer case to the divider. This is the vertical divider piece that goes between the two towers, hiding your knees. And I've drilled and countersunk 4 holes for 1.5 inch screws. And then I used a marking punch to mark where those holes are, and now I'm going to take my 1/8 inch drill with a collar stop on it and just go ahead and drill pilots. It's important to use the collar stop so you don't go all the way through your piece. And it's always important to drill pilots so that you don't spread the wood too much with the screws. And you might notice that I'm doing this prior to putting the top onto this center box. And that's so I can get my screwdriver in here. If I put the top on, I'd have a 3-inch space, roughly 2 feet. I couldn't get my arm down there. So everything's been marked very carefully. Go ahead and set this in place. Double check the markings for the depth of the top piece. Okay, we should be in good shape there. Let's just do a double check before we come all the way home on everything to make sure the this fits properly, because this piece is going to actually be screwed into the underside of the desktop to hold all that together. So I need this to be flush. Okay, that feels good. Okay, so we're all set then. We'll go ahead and we'll put the top on, and then we'll be done. Well, if you've been following along on the progress of the desk, now you can see it all starting to come together. This is the center drawer box with the back panel, the knee panel that I just assembled. And now it's in place, held up by some blocks, and everything's clamped together, because what I have to do now is drill the holes through the sides that are going to hold that together. And the reason I'm doing this kind of construction is to give us the option of breaking this down into pieces to move if that seems to be the better way to go. The ultimate plan is the top, which is 1.5 inches thick, will extend across and be 7 feet long. This carcass you see is about 81 inches, actually a little more than 81 inches, and about 32 inches deep. The top is going to be 4 foot deep at its deepest. It's going to have a curved front to it, and 7 feet long, and like I say, 1.5 inches thick, so it's going to be very heavy. Don't really know what this piece weighs. I haven't weighed it, but it is heavy, so I'm considering, not assembling it in the shop and trying to move it assembled. It's actually sitting up on some blocks right now, so it's going to be a bit lower when it's all in place. And of course I've got to put on the molding and so forth, and then make the drawers on the top. But at least you can get a good idea now of what this looks like. There it is, the carcass all assembled. Get down low here, you can see how I have screwed in the side boxes to the center box, and we move around to the front. You can get a little better idea of how the front's going to look. The curved veneer panels are going to go right and left there, and that center panel, that vertical panel, is screwed into the sides as well, so it's very strong structurally and easy to take apart. And now we'll move on to making drawers and installing trim, and we'll see you next time.